Hello, and be welcome to the world of darkness. Long ago was it that the sin of Cain spawned the cursed horror that stalks the street at night in search of living blood. The kindred have long been a secret influence through all ages of human history, plotting against one another in a never-ending jihad. Their immortal progeny are among us to this day, hidden from the eyes of humanity by an elaborate masquerade.
The pub room is somewhat small, maybe 3-4 meter square. There is an oaken round table varnished to a much darker colour. 4 satin chairs around it with the usual eating utensils and plates and glasses, though void of serving things, as per, well, we're not really going to eat tonight, are we? The walls are decorated with floral wallpaper, the fireplace unlit, and the mantel decorated with small plates and a mirror above.
Alden is wearing his usual, some quite roughed up trousers, his black trench coat with his collar popped, as well as his usual top hat. There's nothing special about his appearance on this day.
Edmund is wearing a navy blue suit and matching trousers with pinstriped, lighter blue, though almost muted, like the grey of an early morning cloud. His hair styled back, not in its, truth be told, messy fop, but more respectably placed. He's wearing his red ascot with the jewel, which he is rarely seen without.
Rebecca is wearing a rather stylish, deep marine blue evening dress. She has removed her hat pin and hat to rest in her lap as she's seated at the table, allowing her elegantly styled curled golden locks to be more visible, as well as her silvery eyes. And she has indeed brought with her what is required for the ritual that Mr. Alden wants them to perform.
Would I be correct to assume that there aren't any other people?
It is only the 3 of us. I have asked for us not to be disturbed.
You can hear the general clatter downstairs in the pub of people drinking, chatting. You even hear a great mixture of people talking about things going on in the colonies, potential. Is it wise to put any money into this company? Should I look to investing here? And several people, mainly women, muttering about the Ripper. There is one man talking about it, but mostly complaining that the Ripper has ruined all his ability to have fun in the East End. You can imagine what kind. Apparently he used to know a whore there that could suck the Thames dry.
Love that. Rebecca gives a nod to Mr. Alden. It should be fine for us to talk, without fear of prying eyes or ears.
Alden Wood hides in his senses and join to take a seat, placing his top hat on the ground so that the bottom faces up. To not get it dirty, but also to be respectful.
Rebecca splays her hand out. So, Mr. Alden, you said you were attempting to acquire an item.
Alden would snap his fingers, almost in a performative way, giving it life, giving it charisma. He reaches deep inside his trench coat pocket, pulling out, which he places in your hand.
Edmund, you recognize the distinctive moniker of followers of Set, yet you can also detect a distinctive smell of opium, and you recognize that herb. You've even brought some in, because some of the ladies of London like to burn it for that exotic smell, especially for when they have their little hoo-ha parties. Ooh, let's invite a crystal ball reader medium lady. It's fanciful nonsense. But it is an Egyptian herb, though the name eludes you. Whereas, Rebecca, this is a depiction of the god Sutek, of which you could name a good bit of lore about, though that is on the mortal side of things. Alden, you as well can identify it. You've gotten all too familiar with this clan's shenanigans lately.
Looking it over as she holds it, she says, I think that should suffice. Then she readies the ritual.
Go ahead and proceed with the rune. Peering into the waters as the image begins to clear, you get a distinctive image of the man. He's leaned back at a desk. It seems to be that of a small office somewhere. Maybe in a house or somewhere close to the city? It's hard to say. Nevertheless, before him are a couple of men showing him some papers that he holds and looks over at very much a leisurely stride. His finger pulling back the papers. He doesn't bother sitting up straight. He's practically leaned back into it. He lets the men leave without much issue, even handing back the papers they gave him, as he then begins to make a tally of the numbers that he saw.
After some time, Rebecca seems to lean back into her chair. It appeared that he was in a room at a desk, possibly an office, nearing the end of a conversation with a couple of men.
One would ask. There were two, correct?
She gives a nod. He was handling papers containing prescriptions for the sale and distribution of opium to 3 of the dens within Cyril's domain. I saw him write on a piece of paper of opium being sent to a factory in Deptford, detailing precautions of paying off the local street urchins. He also wrote on a separate piece of paper that was to be sent to the Karnak Import and Export Company, though no address was given. This contained information regarding sales, Cyril, and his addiction. It seemed as though this letter was a report to a higher up. Made brief mention of something of concern about how Ferguson was being reckless. He then called in an attendant. The letter about the factory in Deptford was to be, well, he said, for it to be left with the ladies. And the other one, he simply said to handle with care. This man seemed to be a mulatto, mixed race, black and English. Other than that, everything seemed rather uneventful and mundane. seeming to leave no trace of himself within that office, and tossing unused paper in the bin. Seemed to be somewhere within the city of London, somewhere on Fish Street Hill. That is as much as I was able to gather. She looks to Edmund. Have you ever heard of this Karnak Import and Export Company?
It is a small company, located south of the Thames. I can't quite recall where. Smaller than mine, at least in shipping terms. Otherwise, I cannot say much more on the topic.
Well, it seems that might be where this letter will be handed off to his superior.
I can have my men stationed outside, or around the area.
No.
Actually, Edmund, wits and alertness. It suddenly dawns on you that factory used to belong to your father-in-law.
Hold a moment. That factory that you mentioned. I know who used to own it. I believe I know who still does.
The factory in Deptford or the import and export?
The one in Deptford. The textile mill, I believe?
And who might that be?
A man by the name of Mr. Cunningham.
Out of character, I wouldn't recognize... Would I recognize that?
I may have complained about him to you?
That's for certain.
Fair enough.
No.
So other than Edmund complaining about some Cunningham.
And that was years ago.
Okay, but do I know
No.
who that is? Okay. She pauses for a moment, furrowing her brow. Well, she says, "That is troubling."
Indeed. I've had suspicions about that man.
What manner of suspicions?
Oh, the kindred kind, seeing as I should be the sole owner of that factory.
I will have the Karnak and factory watched. If the Lockmen were to do so, their association with you is well known. Tomorrow night, first thing, Mr. Alden and I will go to find out what is behind that secret room, and then later that night we will bring all to Mr. Cyril Masters.
Alden, at this moment, a smile kind of widens. You can tell it's of pure joy. He's not hiding anything.
Rebecca would then look to Alden. Did you manage to find anything on the whereabouts of Miss Cook?
He waves his hand in the air, saying, "Oh yes, it was no trouble. What I can say, though, is her location obviously is hard to disclose, considering she was taken away by some men. Well, and a woman as well. There were 6 of them, there being only one woman. The men all dressed in white, shaved heads. Meanwhile, the woman was dressed as a nurse would. They administered a shot to the woman, Miss Anne Cook, when she was shoved forcefully into a carriage. 3 of the men also had scars on their heads, old cuts and holes, which had been healed. Clearly, she was kidnapped."
Well, Rebecca, you're stumped. That sounds bizarre as hell. And you begin to wonder if maybe there isn't some other influence going on. Alden? Maybe a hospital staff? But Edmund, No. These are asylum workers you know all too well. And those scars? Likely the result of lobotomies.
Those men in white. They sound to me like lobotomized asylum workers.
What would lobotomized asylum workers want with Cook?
I would pose the question, what would the person directing them want with Miss Cook?
OC, would I know any kind of asylums near the location where she was kidnapped?
Well, there's certainly one in the Whitechapel area. Seen over by there used to be one in the area. The site of it is now overseen by a Malkavian. I have a deep fascination with the fucking place. But other than that, there's a lot of asylums, especially of late.
Alden would once again wave his hand in the air, saying, it would be hard to pinpoint from which asylum they came from.
Could it potentially be Dr. Timothy? He is the Malkavian Primogen, and thus would have, at the very least, some, he says with a wry smile, control over the comings and goings of the staff of the sanitarium. And given his interest in the Ripper cases and the fact that both he and Mr. Cyril Masters tend to be the good Lady Anne's problem solvers, perhaps he had something to do with this.
Certainly seems like it. Mr. Alden, and you are still kept up to date with the whereabouts of Miss Kelly?
Alden would nod. Same as always.
She gives a nod.
What else I can say, however, is that I've found something, perhaps, which you may thank me for, as I believe I've found some evidence of the Setites. Physical, by Danvers himself.
Oh.
Reaching back into the same inside trenchcoat pocket, he pulls out a sheet of paper which he shows to you. We may show it to Cyril Masters. And there's a Setite spoken of who we haven't run into just yet. This means there's more, clearly.
Glossop. Edmund turns to Rebecca, and then turns back to the paper and to Alden. The family name of the man who used to own that textile factory that we were talking about. His sole remaining heir would be his daughter, Patricia.
Rebecca looks at Edmund.
Alden at this point would take the paper back and put it into his pocket.
I believe it may be safe to say that this Miss Glossop is indeed a kindred.
Better yet than a kindred, a Setite.
Rebecca gives a nod.
We can say for sure that not only can this incriminate him, but can link the known Setites to each other so far. While with the higher-ups, that would take a bit more effort.
This needs to be approached with extreme caution.
Of course, as with the whole situation at hand.
Rebecca looks at Alden, saying, not only do we have 4 supposed Setites within the city, she taps the paper. They have a mummy, a very dangerous breed.
Shame it is that you couldn't find any more with that trick.
Edmund raises his eyebrow at the mention of the word trick.
Yes, just getting back to it for a second, those 2 men you saw when you were looking into the bowl, they are indeed Mr. Danvers' retainers. Whether by blood or not, that's to be decided, but they are working under him as a retainer would.
Full of surprises today, Mr. Olin, aren't you?
He shrugs with a slight smile, only adding, they do essentially all the works for him. He simply overlooks them.
Mm. Out of character, would this be like that is enough proof?
It's certainly pretty fucking damning. And enough to make any Ventru caught with his pants down sweat.
Alden, at this point, would point to the pin he gave Rebecca for the trick, as he calls it, saying, considering that we have the paper plus one of his own belongings, I think we're set. Although it would be better to dig in a little bit deeper.
Edmund would give a at the use of the word said.
Alden would certainly see that reaction and smile.
What precisely do you want to dig into further?
Didn't you suggest it yourself?
Very well. So are we to wait at least until tomorrow night to present this?
Tomorrow night is the night where you wish to, with me, look into that secret room, correct?
Rebecca gives a nod.
Then I suppose so.